I'm so glad you joined us today. I'm Pam Scott. I'm the executive coach and founder of MentorLoft. And our focus at MentorLoft is to help CEOs and their next generation of leaders grow and develop so that they can have a smooth transition when the CEOs leave. And of course, there's a lot to be learned when you become a CEO. I'm going to have our friend Fred Perpall, whom I've known for a long time, tell us a little bit about what is going on at the Beck Group, where he is the CEO. So Fred, I'm going to leave it to you. Would you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the Beck Group, and then we'll get into your story.
Thank you, Pam, and thanks for having me here. And always good to see you and good to be with you for this short time with your listeners and your audience. The Beck Group, we're a 110-year-old architecture and construction firm. We like to say we are the world's best commercial design builder. We work primarily in the southern United States and Mexico.
Okay.
We have 9 offices and about 1,200 full-time employees across our business. And then every day, 9,000 men and women show up at our construction sites to build buildings, hopefully that make a difference in the lives of the people that use them and the communities they're built in. I am the 5th CEO in the 110-year history of the firm.
Okay.
And the second non-family member. This is a family established business, although today the management team and the partners who are employees own 70% of the company. So in a little background, that is who Beck is. We tend to work for large institutional clients, universities, hospitals, governments,
Okay.
corporations. And if you live in a southern city, you probably drive by a Beck building every day.
Yes, I'm in Atlanta, as you know, and I see the Beck signs and I know the Beck staff because we were in Toastmasters together.
Yeah.
So great. So I had asked you in a phone call earlier about your story. So would you take a few minutes how did you get to where you are? What are the important takeaways from your experience getting to where you are today?
Yeah, well, look, no one goes to college, or very few people go to college thinking they're going to be the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar business. And I certainly did not have that kind of audacity. I grew up in very humble beginnings in Nassau in the Bahamas. My father was an airline employee. He was in avionics, and my mother ran a small cafeteria. We grew up with a couple common thoughts. One, our family was really into our Christian faith. And I like to joke with my kids, if they went to church every Sunday for the rest of their lives and they lived to be 90, that at 45, I've probably been to more church than they'll ever be to. We valued hard work. And for us as kids, that meant academics. And then my parents were adamant that we never have any idle time. And so for my brother and I, that meant sports. And every extracurricular activity like Boy Scouts and Kiwanis sponsored youth and Toastmasters and everything you can imagine. But our childhood was just a very busy one, focused on faith and family and working hard. I went to college on a basketball scholarship, and I valued the working along with others. So I had 2 sports, track and field, which was very individual, and basketball, which was very team oriented. And I chose to play basketball in college, which is what brought me to Texas. And then at the age of 22, I graduated from college with an architecture degree. I wanted to be an architect, from the, sort of time I can remember. I always wanted to be in the building business. Mm-hmm. And I went to work at a small company called Urban Architecture, and we were acquired by Beck 1 year later. So I was 23. And by the age of 36, I was the CEO of the whole company. And so, I like to tell the story that way because it feels like it happened that quickly. And looking back, it's easy to connect the dots on how it happened. But looking forward, certainly happened much quicker than I anticipated.
Your parents and your family established such a good, strong foundation for you to build off of. And kudos to you for your rapid growth as a human and in the company of Beck. Tell me, when we talked about leadership, you guys have a perspective that was new to me, and I found it very interesting. I think it's going to be really helpful to anyone who watches or listens to this interview. Would you expound on that, please?
Yeah. I think at Beck, we talk a lot about leadership, and it's interesting. My predecessor, Peter Beck, who's one of my best friends today and one of the most important mentors I've had, speaks very full-throated about the need for leadership. If you think about what we do in construction, we don't actually hammer the nails and sort of turn the screws. We lead the people that hammer the nails and turn the screws. We don't necessarily create all of the details buildings, although as architects we have to provide vision and strategy, and so it's all leadership. And we think about leadership as this thing you provide. That leadership is ultimately about people and your ability to organize and inspire people. Leadership is about communication and clarity and the ability to help people understand that together we can accomplish more than we can individually. And so the highest premium in the design and construction industry is around leadership, because we're literally conducting the orchestra. And so, from the very early stages of my career, I was caused by these great mentors I had at Beck to think about, what are you doing to deepen your leadership skills? Now, in the technical business, most people are oriented around their technical skills. Right. And so it's easy for engineers and architects and construction professionals to actually orient around deepening their technical skills, which all of us have to do. And by the way, technical skills are much easier to measure. And so in our industry, we find that many of our peers tend to lean on their technical skills and spend more time focused on measuring and promoting and moving people forward based only on that.
Okay.
And at Beck, I think we've had a real balanced scorecard, understanding that you have to have technical competency. But what really moves the needle for our business is our leadership skills. And so very early on in my career, much investment was made in me to ensure that I was bringing both along. And I think the number one way that was done in my early 20s was to provide me with a mentor, and a very formal mentorship, that could help me understand all of the sort of blind spots that I might have relative to my behavior and my, sort of interrelationship with others. And to make sure that I was developing those soft skills that tend to create chemistry and trust with others, just as much as I was developing the technical skills on how to put together a building and lead people through the technical details. I would say at Beck, leadership is about people, right? And
Absolutely.
Management is about stuff. And we want to make sure that our people can lead people and manage all the details that go into all of the stuff.
And when you look at your own trajectory and the things you've had to learn, and the fact that you've had a mentor and all, how are you implementing those practices at Beck? I think you have a different approach when you talked about you have a group of people who are looking for folks who are hungry.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fascinating to me. Would you speak to that?
Yeah, well, it's got to be like, I think if you're a leadership organization, and you've got to be a learning organization.
Yes.
And so it starts for us at the very beginning as to who we hire and who we attract, because, for us, we've got to make sure that people are coming to our company for the right reason. And we want them to know that they may have different jobs when they get here, but this hopefully will be the last company for them. Part of that is how we develop people. So at Beck, we have an entire group called Beck University that is staffed with 5 or 6 people that only focus on the learning and the development of our team. And that means challenging folks to go back to college. In my case, I actually went back to business school to deepen my actual technical skills. That means finding and curating good leadership development programs. We have 3 of them going at one time, all the time, so that every Beck team member is constantly being put through different leadership programs with their peers, and something that is being shepherded by a coach. We want to make sure that every person at Beck has a mentor and a mentee. And we think there's something to actually helping others develop while you're also being developed. And the mentorship mentee relationship goes both ways. It's not top down. Our young people can teach our more tenured people a lot of stuff. And we want to make sure that everyone is in a relationship that allows them to grow, not only by being coached, but also by coaching others. So we're very intentional about these things. We think that clarity creates confidence. And when you have clarity about what you need to work on, when you have clarity about your future, having a 5-year plan for your career and your life, that somehow, the purpose in your work becomes more full. And it is important, if a company is going to be purpose-driven, that the actual people in the company are also purpose-driven. And we want to make sure that while we're building these buildings, that we're also building people.
That's so cool. It's different. It's going to open the eyes of some of the folks that I know when we've talked about leadership. What are some of the hiccups? There must have been some hiccups along the way that you can say, hey, here's a lessons learned. We tried to do this and found out this didn't really work. Is there something you could share?
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, this is messy. There are times we're pushing, desire on folks that may not have that internal desire. And what I find that at times we get into trouble when we are not meeting people where they are. We may want something for you that you may not want for yourself.
Okay.
I think we have to be, empathetic with each other in the firm. We have to make sure that relative to our team, that we actually really asking people what they want out of their career and out of their life, so that we're actually meeting them and meeting their needs. And I think for me, it was very difficult at times when folks were seeing things in me that I couldn't see in myself. When folks would say, you would be really good at this, although that particular thing may not be what I wanted. For instance, someone might say, you would be really good as a business development professional. And I go, well, I really don't want to be in the sales side of the business. So I think it's really important to slow down when it comes to mentorship, to make sure that the people that you're working with in their own development, that you have a strong understanding of what they hope to get out of their career. I cannot do something for you that you don't want to do for yourself. And the other thing I think that's been a challenge, it's been tough in our industry because we're so male dominated. Yeah, and so we have struggled to retain women in our business and in our industry because they don't oftentimes see themselves at the top. And for us, we know when those pitfalls come. It comes right around the age and stage of life for that woman employee when she's being stressed at being, the manager at home and the manager at work. Absolutely. And we've got to have different tools and mechanisms and different flexibility if we want to actually retain this talent and move it forward in our firm. And at times, one of the frustrating things for me has been we have been too rigid in the way we see development of people's career and too formulaic. We've got to have more flexibility. And then finally, I think we've got to inspire people beyond, the actual events of the day. And, sometimes it's very hard when you're dealing with development of professionals for them to see beyond the next 6 months. So we've worked really hard on career charts to show people what 10 years looks forward, like this is what the average compensation would be in these positions 5 years from now, and 10 years from now, and 20 years from now. And this is what the average 401k accounts looks like for the 35-year-olds and the 45-year-olds and the 55-year-olds, to just give them a sense that if they are faithful and successful on the path that they're on, that it will be all right. And the lack of certainty sometimes drives people away. And so we've had to work really hard on career planning, sort of mapping, to give people a sense that there is a very bright future in this industry and in this company, so that they don't make short-term decisions, that they have the confidence to make longer-term decisions.
How do you identify those people that you think demonstrate the leadership skills that you all want to see brought through the company?
Well, the Native Americans have a term I love, which is the truth needs no explanation. It only needs reflection. Wow. And if you look across your firm, the people who are most likely to lead are earning the right to lead, not by a title that you give them,
right,
but by an emotion and a feeling that they conjure up in others. And so I think if the current group of leaders are quiet enough and still enough, and they look around their organization, they will see naturally who is leading and who is orchestrating and who is convening people. And so we try to spend a lot of time just listening and observing. We think leadership is not a popularity contest. Leadership is something that is inspired in others. We spend a lot of time just really looking across the firm as to who is providing leadership, because it's not a person, it's a thing you provide. And we really believe strongly in that.
Okay. So let me take a look back at some of the notes. You said people, correct me if my handwriting is wrong. You said people can learn, but it's not natural for some folks. Does that sound like a conversation that we had earlier about they have to work harder? It's not a natural thing to want to learn.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, once a person gets into their career, it is very hard to train on desire. Like, in other words, I can't make you thirsty, but I can provide water. What I found in our career and in my own career, but also in the leaders around me, that they have a natural thirst to get better. They have a natural thirst to learn more. They have a curiosity that is palpable. They are not always making statements. They are asking questions.
Oh, I love it.
And they actually bring things to you that inspires you through their curiosity and their inquisitiveness. And so for me, it's been easy to develop and to recognize the younger people in our firm coming up, because they have this unquenched desire to get better. And I don't spend a lot of time coaching on motivation.
Okay.
I spend more time finding highly motivated people and then using our resources to keep them motivated. And one of the misnomers, Pam, that we have today in business, people are looking for their bosses and their leaders in the business to motivate them. People are looking for you to tell them where they should go. And what I'm telling you is, the folks that are going to lead you into the future already are motivated. They have the desire to get better. They know that the company cannot get better if they're not getting better. You don't necessarily spend a lot of time motivating them. You spend more time meeting their motivation and using your resources to keep them motivated and to fill that bucket of curiosity. And so for me, it's been enjoyable. I don't think anyone ever had to coach me on desire.
Okay.
They may have had to coach me on sort of overly ambitious, maybe a little too aggressive, maybe too fast. But we have this joke around, Beck. We'd rather pull the reins back on a racehorse than sort of kick around mules. And for me, you've got all of this happens because you have a little bit of a passion and a little bit of a flame inside of you. And you should never want people to want something for you that you don't want for yourself.
Oh, wow. Thank you. You've hit on so many of the points, particularly about curiosity, because the curiosity is what helps us grow, and asking questions and focusing on, gee, why are they doing this way? Or what could we do with that plot of land, or whatever it is? So I'm really glad you emphasized that among the many other points. Fred, I know that we have a limited time today. You're a busy guy. I want to thank you for taking time to talk with me. And where can people go if they want to learn more about the Beck Group?
Well, I would encourage you all to hit our website, www.beckgroup.com. We've got a lot of resources and information, not just around the building business, but some of our thought leadership on, developing good culture and creating good teams. And, essentially everything we do is about teaming. And so we've tried to spend a lot of time on how to integrate all of the diversity that you need to have a good team. And then, Pam, in closing, I would just say I would encourage your listeners to just stay motivated, stay hungry. None of this happens without hard work, and none of it happens without taking a little risk. And so if you do those things, I like to say to folks, life is short. You got to take some risks. You got to make some bets. So why not bet on yourself?
That's cool. That's wonderful. Thank you, Fred. Let me close this out then. So I want to encourage our audience to go to Beck Group, as Fred has suggested. They have lots of content there that can help you. I also want to suggest that you go to MentorLoft.com, which is our website where we provide lots of information to help the next generation develop. And again, thanks, Fred. Best of luck to you guys. I think it's cool what you're doing. I appreciate your time. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Pam. Bye-bye.